Hi, I'm Asha from the Zenphi support team. In this video, we are going to look at a very common finance scenario. Can you update a monthly cash flow forecast sheet automatically when a sales deal changes in a completely different sheet? Here is the scenario. A sales rep goes into their deal spreadsheet and changes a deal value. Maybe they increase a contract from $5,000 to $8,000. We want the automation to detect that change, calculate the difference, and automatically update the master monthly forecast sheet on the finance drive. It sounds simple, but this is actually really tricky. While Google Workspace Studio can listen to changes in a sheet, it hits a while immediately after. It cannot calculate the difference between the old and new amount, and it certainly can't perform the math needed to update the forecast accurately. So let me show you why Studio fails at this and how we can build a robust solution in Zenphi using a shadow sheet technique. First, let's look at our data. Here is my sales deals sheet. You can see we have the client name, the months, and the deal value. And here is the monthly forecast sheet. This holds the total cash expected for each month. The goal is if I change a value in a sales sheet, the automation needs to find a specific month in the forecast sheet and add or subtract the exact difference. Now let's go to the Google Workspace Studio. Studio does have a starter that triggers when a spreadsheet changes. However, that is the only leverage we have here. The problem arises when we try to do the logic. Studio cannot do math. I cannot tell it to take the new value minus the old value to get the difference. I can't try to ask Gemini to figure it out, but Gemini returns text, not a number I can use in a formula. Because I can't get that dynamic number, I can't update the forecast sheet. I can't tell Studio to add $3,000 to January. It simply doesn't have the tool to calculate or manipulate data that way. It creates a dead end. So let's move to Zenphi. To make this robust for finance, we are using a scheduled workflow that runs every 24 hours. Here is how we solve it. We have the live sales sheet, today's data, and a hidden shadow sheet that holds yesterday's data. First, the flow reads both sheets. Then we start a loop. But notice the strategy here. We loop through the shadow data, and inside this loop, we use the query collection. This is a very professional and a powerful lookup tool in Zenphi. It allows us to instantly filter today's data and find the exact deal ID that matches the one we are looking at. Once we have the match, we move to our second advantage, a completely dynamic if condition. We compare today's amount against yesterday's amount. If they are the same, the flow simply moves to the next row. But if they are different, we proceed to the mass operation. This is the third major advantage of Zenphi. We calculate the exact difference between the two numbers. Finally, we use that difference to find the exact months for the forecast sheet. Something that is basically impossible to do dynamically in Studio. And we add that calculated amount to the total. The flow repeats this for every single row until the entire forecast is perfectly synced. Happy automation.